Podcasts on UNC-TV.org are made possible through the financial contributions of viewers like you, who invite you to join them in supporting UNC-TV.
It's commonplace now for businesses to be accessible for people with disabilities, but there is still a portion of society that is being overlooked in many areas. Jeff Smith found one company with the vision to help.
Dear Pen Pal, I know it's been a few years since I last wrote you.
These members of the Raleigh Ensemble Players are putting on a show for a sellout crowd on a Friday night. But for some of the audience members, the images are not clear.
Where does swine live?
You know how I feel about people calling me that.
A lot of times we get, wow, I haven't been to see a play since I was a kid because I didn't think I could go. Our last show, Distracted, we had two people who had been to a play at all. So excited. So just opening their eyes to the availability.
Gary Williams is just one theater manager who has opened the door to patrons who need special assistance.
We started back in 2002 with the production. We hired a stage manager who had a disability. And it opened up our eyes to the many barriers that people have to enjoy the arts. So we've been very involved in that since that time with audio description. We do a tactile touch tour before every show if it's requested on these performance nights. So we try and include people as many people as possible. We include them in our ensemble, on our board. It's just important that everyone has that voice and that access.
I thought there'd be a bigger turnout.
She stops. She continues.
All our friends loved them.
The Raleigh Ensemble Players partner with Arts Access Incorporated to supply audio describers for the plays that are performed at this small downtown theater. Arts Access also supplies describers for North Carolina groups like the Symphony, Movies, the Museum of Art, and even the ballet.
A lot of people wouldn't think about audio description of a ballet, but the ballets are great. And I've actually described, both in North Carolina and South Carolina, I've described the Nutcracker. And it's so exciting when you have somebody come back to give you the equipment at the end of the show and be thoroughly excited about not knowing that something had happened in that part of the program before, or just that they experienced more of it.
Debbie Hippler is with Arts Access in Raleigh. She helps patrons with disabilities enjoy the arts.
Those with disabilities that feel like they could not enjoy the arts, we help bridge that gap, whether it's through audio description, helping to obtain American Sign Language interpreters, that sort of thing.
It makes it possible for me to know exactly what's going on various points throughout the performance. There's lots of times where there'll be dialogue and I can tell what's going on by the dialogue, or a phone might ring and I can say, yeah, okay, they're going to answer the phone. But sometimes they just walk around the stage and there's either looks going on or something is getting ready to happen, and there's just things that happen that are part of the story that unless you can see it, you really do miss out.
Roland Hippler is Debbie's husband, and he's blind. He did not have a lot of success appreciating the arts before he came across Arts Access.
Before I knew about Arts Access, we would go to various shows, but it didn't really do it that much because in order to know what was happening, I'd have to ask the person sitting next to me or whoever I was with, and then we'd end up talking, which is distracting for those around us, and that just is not a fun thing.
Now with audio describers, he can enjoy the arts without missing anything.
I can tell you there was a play that I went to, Night at the Opera, was it Phantom of the Opera? And the performance was going along really well, and there was one point where they had flames that shot up out of the floor. And that got my attention because I could tell there was a lot of heat and something had happened.
Matt comes over, CB takes his arm behind his back, keeps him restrained.
Tom Haynes is an audio describer with Arts Access. He's an actor, and he wanted to help those with visual limitations to be able to see the entire stage, even if it's only through his voice.
I think the arts should be accessible for everybody, so we've heard of sign interpretation for the deaf for years, and this is kind of a new thing for most people, and I know it was for me 10 years ago when I got involved, but more and more people, as the age increases, average lifespan, there's more and more people that are wanting to go out and see the arts that are having visual problems. So I like the idea of expanding making the arts available to people that maybe in the past wouldn't have gotten much out of it.
How brilliant. to view.
They pick up their bottles, suck the straws.
Now, describing a performance is not just something you can show up and do. There's a lot of preparation that goes into each description.
To prepare, we try to come a couple of times at least beforehand and see the show, and that way we're very familiar with it. We also get a script, and we try to read that so we are even more up to date with what's going on stage. And we try to plan by, sometimes we script it ourselves, and sometimes we just think about when's the best spots for us to talk, and what are the most important elements that we want to make sure that we convey that are important for them to not miss.
One type of play that makes it a little bit difficult is when there's a musical that we're watching, and they've got all the music going on, and the actors are doing something. They might be dancing or whatever, and the describer's trying to tell us that, but the music from the stage is really loud, so it's kind of hard to mesh everything together.
Arts Access uses small transmitters and receivers so that the patrons using the devices do not stand out and do not disrupt those around them.
It's something they can put in their pocket. And then the actual describer, we try and be as unobstructive as possible during the play. We're not there to call attention to us or to what we're doing. We're there to help supplement the experience of the user who can't see what's going on stage.
Leans down with his hands on the table, head down, works up some tears. His head is shaking.
It's an education process to a lot of people because people think that you're accessible, but then there's so many other ways. Sometimes it's costly, but a lot of times it's not. By doing Braille programs, we're lucky to have the Governor Moorhead School here. We partner with them and they do our Braille programs. We do large print programs, minimal cost, but huge service. So you kind of keep educating the venues as well as the users and the non-users. Because when people come on a night like tonight, our accessibility night, they realize that my aunt would love to use this. So it's a great thing.
To learn more about Arts Access and the venues that use their services, we have a link on our website, unctv.org/ncnow.
Podcasts on UNC-TV.org are made possible through the financial contributions of viewers like you, who invite you to join them in supporting UNC-TV.